Great. Hi, guys.
Hi there.
Hello.
Good.
I'm
Jeff.
You're Jeff.
Nice to meet you all. How
Nice to meet you too.
Well.
Great.
Can you tell us a little bit about your character?
Yeah, so I play a guy. Should I pick this up or should I leave it right here?
It's up to you.
What do you think?
Pick it up.
Do one of these right here?
There you go.
Great. So I play a guy named Tom Ferrell, who at a young age made a terrible decision and sold his soul to the devil.
Like you
He
do.
fell in love with a witch. Awful mistake. And now when we find him in the events of this movie, he's sort of trying to take that deal back. So he's come back to his hometown to try to get his soul back from the devil because he started to be afraid of eternal damnation. And as he's kind of stumbling along that journey, he very luckily runs into Hellboy and Bobby Joe, who help him get his soul back from the devil.
So you guys are friends.
Yeah, where we find each other. We're strangers. We encounter each other in this movie, and Hellboy and Bobby Joe are kind enough to help Tom sort of renegotiate with the devil.
So are you a fan of the comics?
I am. I've always been a fan of the movies. I watched the Guillermo del Toro Hellboy movies when I was younger and loved them. I was obsessed with them. And then through working on this film, this has caused me to do a deeper dive on the comics. So like working on this has given me the opportunity. We've got Mike Mignola, the creator of Hellboy, at that table right over there. And I have a friend. I want to shout out my friend Brian Muldoon. So I found out I was going to do this movie. I read The Crooked Man, and I didn't want to show up like a moron, not knowing anything. So my dear friend Brian Muldoon is a lifelong fan of Hellboy. He's got every Hellboy book. He's kind of my Hellboy expert. So I did a series of Zoom calls with him from Bulgaria, where he would talk me through all the extended lore. So he's a master at this stuff. It's a really devoted fan base. It's such a cool thing to see. Now, because of working on this, I'm sort of encountering the fan base, and they really love it, and it's beautiful. It's like they have a very personal relationship to it, which is such a cool thing.
Mm-hmm. And that's what's going to be so nice about it, being very true to the comics.
Yeah.
Because I think the fans, what do you think? Do you think the fans really are going to go crazy over this?
Yeah, I think the fans are very invested in Mike Mignola, and Mike is like, this is a really unique superhero because it's become a huge property, but it's all Mike. He's a real auteur. He would draw it himself, he writes it himself, it all comes from his vision. And he wrote the first draft of this script. He describes The Crooked Man as his favorite Hellboy book. So that's very cool. So I hope that fans will respond to that. It's made me very proud. If Mike is proud of us, and Brian Taylor, the director, has said this from the beginning, we're making this movie for an audience of one, and that's Mike Mignola. And if he's proud of us, if he likes the movie, then we'll know we've done a good job. So we're trying very hard to live up to what Mike has built over 30 years, you know?
Right.
Now, were fans like contacting you at all throughout while you were still filming and giving you any kind of advice or anything like that?
Well, I was seeking out the advice of my friend Brian because he's such a fan. I was like, listen, you're the expert. Tell me, what do I need to know?
Yeah.
And Brian Taylor, the director, is such an expert on Hellboy as well. And all over the production office, in everybody's office, there were frames from the comics. There was panels all over the place. And I don't know if you guys saw this. When the teaser trailer came out, fans online were taking panels from the comic and putting them next to panels from the trailer and saying, oh, look, it's this panel. They were recreating it.
Like literally shot for shot.
Shot for shot.
Which is so cool.
So cool. Yeah, and you could, when walking around our production office, it's no surprise because Brian's North Star for every design decision, for everything, was the comic. It was constantly returning to the comic because it's brilliant, you know, and why mess with it? If it ain't broke, don't fix it, you know?
Now, do you think people need to read the comics first, or they can go in blindly?
I think they can go in either way. I think if they've read the comic and they're very familiar with it, they'll see some extra fun little Easter eggs, little bits from the comic. I think they'll be excited to recognize moments from the comic. And if you haven't seen it, I think it's a clean, standalone story. So I don't think you necessarily have to have read it. But you should, because it's great.
So after, being informed by your friend and the fans and various other things, can you not spoil but maybe tease what was the hardest thing for you to film?
Oh, wow. So we have kind of two major auteurs working on this film because Mike is a brilliant comics artist and writer, and Brian Taylor is an incredible action director. So it's
Crank.
A horror film, exactly.
Yep.
And I loved the Crank movies when I was a kid.
Oh, yeah.
And going back and watching them now, still nobody moves the camera like that. Brian moves the camera like no other director. And you know, this comic book, Hellboy, has a real handmade feel. You know, Mike is involved in every step of it. And Brian's films are like that. Like Crank, I think Brian was like the DP, he was the camera operator. I think I've seen videos of him riding around on rollerblades with the camera. Like, these guys are both singular visionaries. So I was really excited to shoot some of our action scenes because I've been a fan of Brian's for a long time.
And do you do your own stunts?
Some of them, yeah. We had an amazing Bulgarian stunt team, but we all did a wire pull at some point. We all did some fights. Like the effects are all practical effects, which is also so fun. There's one point, just a small spoiler, where a coffin comes flying through a church door, and they actually like built this rig that flung like a 400-pound wooden coffin through a door.
God.
And there's a fun thing that happens on a lot of sets where they come around and they go, "Hey guys, we can only afford to do this stunt one time."
Oh no!
Was that one of those?
That was one of those. We only get to do it one time, and it happens on a lot of movies. There's a moment where it's like, well, once we break this, it's broken. Yep. You know, so there was a door. We've been shooting in this church for days and days. There's this insane zombie fight scene in a church with zombies crawling in the windows and coming out of the floorboards.
Is it an actual church in Bulgaria?
It was built on a stage so we could do the stunts, basically, so we could ruin it. Because if you build it on a stage, then you can destroy it. And by the end of the shoot, it was falling apart. The pews are falling over,
Oh my
the rafters
gosh.
are falling through. It was really cool. Yeah, there was sort of like the pre-fight scene church and then the post-fight scene church where everything is broken and splintered. So shooting that big action sequence was one of my favorite. It was, I think, a week we shot it.
Super cool.
Yeah.
Do you have any upcoming projects after Hellboy?
We're working on season 5B of Yellowstone right now, which is the last few episodes of Yellowstone. I go from here straight back to Montana to finish that, which is an absolute pleasure. I directed a movie this last year. I wrote and directed a very, very tiny little movie called Caravan. So I'm in the editing post-production process for that.
Where
I'm
can we
working on
find
stuff
that?
with my friends. Hopefully somewhere. We're working on it now. It's a tiny movie, like really as small as it gets.
We're press and we're into independent.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Yeah, it's one of these, I don't know if you've experienced this, artists, I'm sure all artists experiment. Like, you experiment, you don't know how it's going to turn out. Right now I'm in the phase where I'm like, well, I learned a lot from this, and I hope it's a movie. So I really hope it turns out. I really am proud of what we did, and me and my friends just made it together. It's just me and all my friends. So I really hope it turns into something. I mean, I'm very proud of it, but you never know.
Yeah.
You know, I think that's the other true spirit of indie is you never know.
Never know what's
You're
going
sort
to
of
happen.
you're pushing it along and you're hoping that baby bird flies, but you never know.
Well, hopefully you're continuing to have fun.
Yeah.
So much fun. And this is like the great gift of being an actor is just new experiences.
Yeah.
Right? It's like the best. It's this job. The most beautiful thing about this job is you're not in the same place every day. You're getting to go experience things all over the world. And Hellboy represented that in so many ways. It's the first horror movie I've done. It's one of the most intensive action movies I've done. It was in Bulgaria with this incredible group of artists. And now I'm here, my first Comic-Con. And that's an incredible experience and an incredible gift too.
That's awesome. It's really good.
If you were to dress up, if you came as a fan, what would you dress up as?
You know, my wife dressed up. We came and she dressed up as Cottonmouth from Kill Bill, Daryl Hannah's character. So she's got the
Nice.
nurse eye patch and she's walking around the floor.
Nice.
Yeah, we love Tarantino and we love Kill Bill, so she dressed up as
That's
that
fantastic.
character.
Are
Yeah.
you wrapping us?
Where's the California Mountain Snake? Kill Bill heads out there. I hope I didn't get it wrong, Kill Bill heads. Daryl Hannah's character, the nurse.
Thank
The
you
nurse.
very much, and
Thank
congratulations
you.
once again.
Yeah, we appreciate it.
Thanks for taking the time.
Thank you.